Happy EEKtober, everybody. We're doing 31 days of scary movies, and today is day 14. I'm your host, Melissa Forziat. I'm a keynote speaker. And when I speak, my topic is something I call Take the Doughnut, which is another way of saying carpe diem. It comes from this weird thing that happened in college where I left an actual donut on a table and it became an object lesson for me in what it looks like to leave opportunity behind. So I don't want to do that anymore. I want to take the donut. Now, from time to time, I'll issue myself a take the donut challenge, which is just a way for me to hold myself accountable to something I want to do. So I'll make it official and I'll say it's a take the donut challenge. This time, I'm opening it up to anybody who wants to join. So we're doing 31 days of scary movies. Again, today is day 14, and we're watching The Monster. This is a 2016 horror film in the, I'm going to say the monster subgenre. This is directed and written by Brian Bertino. It's one of 3 films on our list that is written by and directed by Brian Bertino. We also watched The Strangers already, and we've still got The Dark and the Wicked to come. This one it has a number of different actors, but mostly this is starring Zoe Kazan as Kathy and Ella Ballantine as Lizzie, and they cry for like the whole film. I don't know how many days they shot this over, but I don't know how humans could have this many tears in the amount of time they probably had to make this movie. If you really liked this film, there aren't others. It's not a series. This is the film, but you may want to check out those other Brian Bertino films because I think the things that I think are strengths of this film are also things that he does really well in his other films. Although I do feel this film is more personal. And has more of, I think the relationship is the strongest in this film, but there are some other elements of it that you'll see in other Brian Bertino films as well. I will say, when I think about the films on my list of 31 days of scary movies, there are 2 that feel like real tearjerkers to me. This is one of them. Train to Busan is the other one. So I guess know that up front before you go into Train to Busan. And in terms of the things that Brian Bertino does really well, for me, he creates an atmosphere. He's not going for the joke, he's going for the atmosphere. And he's especially able to do that in a film like this, which is pretty much almost entirely set at night in all the scary scenes, and in the rain. I mean, it's the perfect thing to create the atmosphere for the scary film. But if you're going to make that work, you also have to know how to light it. And I think that is a highlight of this for me. There are some street lamps, there are some headlights, there's moonlight, there's a couple different factors that they're playing with. There's a flashlight, and they just make these night shots not only look like something you can make out what's happening on screen, but sometimes I just look at these shots and they just look beautiful. Seeing a headlight light the rain as it's coming down, if you pause some of these shots, they're just stunning. It must have taken some time to set this up and to get it to look the way he wanted. Also, in terms of sound design, we get a lot of music, but a lot of sort of like tonal stuff, like just sounds more so than anything else, and like an effort to build that as well. So it's those are some of the things that I see as strengths of the work that he does, and those types of strengths I think are also strengths that you'll see in the other films of his that are on my list. The other thing I want to say about this before we get into the actual scenes of the movie is that this, for as much as it's a monster film, I would say I'd also call this an elevated horror, which I guess is a very loose thing to say, but it has a deeper meaning under it. There may very well be a symbolism to all the monster stuff that we're seeing. I think all of this plays as a monster film, and I think all of this plays as a film about alcoholism and the way that it can tear a family apart, and the way that it can make a child have to grow up way too quickly, and just the sort of feelings that'll emerge for a child perhaps in that situation, and for the fact that but by the end of this film, Lizzie is the best thing that Kathy can do for Lizzie is to let Lizzie go and for Lizzie to go. And that is the way this movie handles this. So I think, it's very much about, you can't save the person who's got this disease if they don't want to be saved, if they're not trying to be saved, if they're going to, and very much in the way that the wolf was going out on its own to die, as what Kathy said in the very beginning. There's this feeling that Kathy does the same thing in the woods, and that Lizzie has to let her go, and she has to go live her life. And so I think, again, this movie plays as the monster movie, and it also, I think, hits a little harder if you look at it from the alcoholism angle. And it probably grounds this movie in something a whole lot more real for so many of the people watching it. So for me, I haven't had to deal with that in my life. And I still find this a tear-jerking movie. And so if you have, I don't even know what that brings up for you, but it's probably an emotional film on that level. So if we look at the film itself and the scenes of it, we're going to start black screen, soft music is playing. We're going to get an intertitle, and then this is going to be bookended at the end of the film. So we're going to hear Lizzie voicing over and saying, they are hiding and watching. Well, first we're just going to get the intertitle that's not spoken. They're hiding and watching, just wait and see. Oh, there were monsters for you and for me. It's a children's nursery rhyme from 1902. Author is unknown. And then we get the Lizzie voiceover that's going to be bookended at the end of the film. Mom said there's no such thing as monsters, but they're out there, waiting, watching in the dark. Sometimes where you see them, sometimes where you don't. I know that now. So now we're going to cut to Lizzie in the bedroom, her bedroom, listening to a record. As the film goes on, at the point when they hit the road, any scene that you see with Lizzie in the house is a flashback. But right now, this is real time. So she's in her bedroom listening to a pretty sad Roger Miller song on a record player. She's packed up her suitcase. She's making herself a waffle. She's doing her homework. She's passing the time. Meanwhile, we can see the place that she's in is kind of a mess. She's got their beer bottles and pizza boxes all over the table. She starts cleaning things up. An alarm clock goes off. Lizzie gulps. She's been waiting for this person to wake up, and she also doesn't want this person to wake up. She's going to go into her mom's room. She's going to wake up her mom. She's going to start cleaning things up in there, grabbing laundry. Her mom's like, did I oversleep? She's like, get up. It's 9. Like, get up, get up, get up. Let's go. I packed for both of us. We have to get out of here. Mom's like, where's Roy? Lizzie says, he's an ass. Don't worry about him. She's really annoyed. Her mom's like, go load the car. You want to get things done? Go load the car. She's not moving. And Lizzie is like, get up. So Lizzie's watching cartoons and playing with her mom's lighter. It's 4:30 now. Like, the whole day has passed. And finally her mom comes out of her room. She says, I'm sorry, I fell back to sleep. I'm sorry, okay. Lizzie says, all right, well, you can't smoke in the car. Kathy's going to get something to eat. She very rudely asks for the lighter back. She doesn't ask. She just sort of demands the lighter back. And then we're going to see Kathy driving. Lizzie is in the car too. They're silent. The only thing that does make noise in here right now is Lizzie has this stuffed animal that sings kids' songs. Right now it's singing If You're Happy and You Know It, but it's got all kinds of tunes. Kathy says, you're too old for that. Lizzie says, you're too old for a lot of things. Lizzie is just jaded at this point. Feels like Lizzie is the adult here. And I think Lizzie has been feeling that way for quite some time, but is deeply aware that she is a kid. They're going to stop at a service station. I'm really struck by how young Kathy is. Zoe Kazan, and the age of Zoe Kazan and the age Philip Valentine. Like, I think they got people close enough in age when you're like, whoa, like, she was a young mother, still is a young mother. So Kathy is sort of watching the car. She goes over to the window. She's going to give Lizzie a gift. Grandma's watch. There's some significance here. And Lizzie's like, why? Kathy says, because you're not coming back. Lizzie kind of feels bad. She's like, I didn't say that. Kathy says, yeah, but you're not going to. She puts the watch on Lizzie. It feels like a sort of rite of passage moment. It feels like, I wonder if Kathy had anything else from her mom. Because there's just so much significance here in how they make this exchange. So Lizzie's saying, okay, 4 hours till Darlington. Kathy's gonna smoke. We're gonna get a flashback, our first flashback. So Kathy is really angry at Lizzie in the garage. In this scene, they're both dressed up nice. This is like the fanciest Kathy is gonna look. She's just so done with it, Lizzie. She's like, get in the car. Basically the opposite of what we just saw. Lizzie says, I don't want to. Kathy says, I know this is a big night for you. Lizzie says, it's my play. Kathy says, and you're not going to be late for it. Get in the car. Lizzie says, I don't want you to go. I wasn't expecting those words from her the first time I saw this, because she looks like you would, I guess my brain is primed to think she's going to say, I don't want to go. She wants to go, but she doesn't want to be there with her mom. Lizzie says, I don't want you there. Kathy says, well, I'm going. This is a big day for you, and I know it. And then they're going to get into this battle that I feel like gets echoed in the most loving way later. But here, it's brutal. When Lizzie says, I don't want you to go, I don't want you there. And Kathy's saying, it's a big night, I'm going. And she says, and Lizzie's like, I hate you. And Kathy's like, F you. And they're going to keep repeating those same words to each other and talk over each other as they crescendo and get more angry. Lizzie's like, you never come to anything. Kathy says, oh yeah, well, find your own damn ride. So she's going to drive away and she's going to leave Lizzie there. And Lizzie shouts after her. She mirrors the words that her mom said to her. She's like, F you. So this scene, especially coming right after the scene where you see that her mom was late, where her mom slept in all day, where Lizzie had another important thing to do and she couldn't count on her mom, where she was doing all the parental duties and cleaning up around the house and packing up for herself and for her mom. Like when you see that first and then you see this, there's absolutely nothing uncomplicated about it. It's like, you can't sit here and say, oh, Lizzie's being a jerk, or you just, and when you're seeing this, it's also, you're kind of inclined to say, well, Kathy is trying to be there as a mom right now, but we know she's not always going to be. And there's probably really good reason why Lizzie's very nervous about her mom being at this important day with her. So I just take it at face value, and I think this is complex. This is very complex, and there's a lot we haven't seen, and this has not been working at all. We're going to go to the present day. The car is driving through the night. We get some moonlight. They're stopped while Kathy smokes by the light of the headlights. Kathy is like, do you want to keep going? Lizzie's saying, yeah, I called Dad and Jenna. They're staying up. They're going to stay up for us. Kathy says, it's going to rain. Lizzie says, I hate thunder. And then she's going to go back into the car. And after she goes in and she can't hear Kathy anymore, Kathy very quietly says, I know you do. And it's not like with annoyance. It's with, I know you, baby. Like, I know. Like she doesn't want her kid to have to deal with the thunder. But she's got her flaws, this Kathy, and her baby's been dealing with this for a long time. Kathy is driving at night in the rain. She asks to smoke. Lizzie's gonna let her. Just crack the window. Going down a tree-lined road. Lizzie's wondering what time it is. Kathy says, well, you tell me. And she's like, oh yeah, I've got this watch. So she says it's 12:15 a.m. Kathy says, and not a soul in sight. Lizzie's like, not funny, don't do that. Kathy says, lighten up. Lizzie's like, I wish you listened more. Seems to be her refrain. Kathy says, I wish you'd quit saying that. There's a loud banging sound. We're going to find out that the tire blew out. Kathy loses control of the car, and then all of a sudden a wolf darts out into the street, and they get into an accident. They hit the wolf. The car is now stopped. The headlights are on. It's pouring rain. Kathy is crying out in pain. She's hurt her wrist. Lizzie is crying. Kathy's like, are you okay? And she's worried about her kid. Lizzie's so scared. Kathy's apologizing for the accident. And then Lizzie's worried for her mom. She sees that her wrist is hurt. She sees that there's a head wound involved. Kathy says, we've got to call 911. The lights go out in the car. So they were on for a second after the accident, but now, the ignition is off, and, that's it. So we're now going to get some shots in the woods, light through the trees. We're going to get a lot of environment shots to show where they are and sort of in the middle of nowhere. Lizzie calls for 911. She does get a hold of them. She tells them her mom's head is bleeding. They give the rough directions. They get as close as they can to explaining where they are. And the authorities are going to send an ambulance and a tow truck for them, but it's going to be a minute. So Kathy asks for a Band-Aid from her purse. The rain is going to stop for a bit. We've got, just the lights lighting the trees, got shots of the leaves, just nature shots. Kathy's going to smoke in the car again. They're looking at this wolf in the road. Lizzie's looking at it. She's like, what if it's alive? Kathy says, it hasn't moved though. Kathy tries to get out of her door and it's stuck. Lizzie can open her door. So they're both going to get out and they're going to see the blood on the front of the car. Kathy's like, don't look. She tries to shield Lizzie. She assesses the damage. She blew the tire. Lizzie is going to see the blood on the car. She's going to look at the dog. Kathy says, all right, call your dad. Like, he can get you. I'm going to have to deal with this. I'll have Roy come. So Lizzie is going to get on the phone. She's going to call her dad. She's answering questions we can't hear, but we know what they are. She's saying, yeah, I'm okay. No, dad, she wasn't. He asked if she had been drinking. She says, it was raining. We hit a wolf. We're going to get another flashback now to Kathy eating ice cream at night in the dark. It's just the middle of the night. She's sitting on the floor. We see a shot of a calendar where Lizzie has written, you can do it, Mom. There are 2 days that are X'd out. So she's probably been sober for 2 days. And she's having a hard night. She goes to the outside trash. She finds an alcohol bottle. And she's sitting there trying to resist. She's saying, you can beat it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Go to bed. Just go to bed. But she gives in and she drinks, and she drinks a lot. We're hearing tinkly piano music here, gentle piano music, but Lizzie's going to wake up. She's going to find her mom in the bathroom. Her mom was puking. She's fallen asleep, or she's trying to fall asleep on the bathroom floor. And Lizzie's going to lay with her and hold her, comfort her like she's Lizzie's child. I don't know if this is luck or what, but there's a fly crawling on Kathy. And I guess it ends up being something like foreshadowing of Kathy's death later, but I don't know if that's something that they had planned or if that was just a fly that made a cameo. Kathy and Lizzie are going to now, it's real time. They're standing in front of the wolf and Kathy crouches down. It seems dead. She goes to touch it and there's something stuck in its wound. It's a tooth, but it's a big tooth. And Lizzie's like, yeah, let's go back to the car. So they're in the car now. It's raining again. And this bloody tooth is on the dashboard. And they're not really sure what kind of thing would have a tooth like that. Kathy says some of the cuts on the wolf weren't from the crash. It must have been fighting with somebody. There are a lot of things that hide in the woods, though. We're going to get where before we were getting these ambient shots of nature, we're now getting shots that feel like a voyeur. It feels like something is in the trees looking out. So we're getting shots of leaves from inside the woods. We're going to get a growl. We're going to get something looking at the car. So in the car, Lizzie is going to start to take action. She tears up her shirt so she can bandage her mom's arm. Her mom looks pretty sad that Lizzie has to take care of her right now. She's in a lot of pain. But there are lights that come up to her. So the first person who's coming to help them is the tow truck driver. And Lizzie looks around. She's like, as they were looking at this tow truck, they stopped looking at the wolf, and all of a sudden the wolf is gone. Lizzie says, where'd the wolf go? Neither of them know. They're both looking around. A man gets out of the truck. He shines a flashlight around. He walks to them. This is Jessie, the tow truck driver. She tells him her wrist is hurt, but they're okay. Jessie says, the station called. It's going to be a while for the ambulance. Just put your things in my truck and I'll get your car ready. Lizzie would prefer not to get out given the weirdness with the wolf and the tooth. Kathy says, you know what? It's probably fine though. The wolf probably just went into the woods to die. Kathy tells him, we hit a wolf. Lizzie starts to get out. And then Jessie's helping them get their stuff out of the car. We're looking into the trees. We hear growling as we hear their voices. So something is definitely stalking or observing them right now. Kathy says, you know what? We're going to stay in our car. Can you hook up the tow truck with us in there? So we're getting more like almost like a mumbling sound from the monster. Jessie is getting the tow truck set up. But he looks at the damage. He's like, this is a lot. Look, your axle's broken in half. Oil's pouring out. I'm going to have to work on this a little bit before I can get you hooked up. So she's going to pop her hood. This in another movie might be where you get the kill, like the obstructed view of him behind the hood. But then that's not what this film does. So he's going to get under the car instead. Lizzie is speculating. Why would the wolf have run out onto the road in the first place? Kathy says it was probably just running. Lizzie says, from what? Lizzie looks at this tooth. She says, dogs don't have teeth like this. Kathy takes it. She's thinking, she says, we hit a wolf. Jessie is working on the car. The car turns on at the very least. So there's that. There's more to be done, but at least like the music starts, the lights are on. And that's a start. So he's going to shut the hood. He's like, stay in there. He has more to do. Kathy is going to look for a phone to call Lizzie's dad. It's in Lizzie's bag, which is in the tow truck now because the guy, Jessie, grabbed their bags and put them in his truck first. So Jessie gets under their car. Kathy's like, well, okay, so we want our phone and tell him that we need to get our phone. Lizzie says, do I really need to? And you're thinking right around now that this is a selfish move, that this is maybe something Kathy's doing. She's sending her kid out into danger. But we also know that Kathy's door is stuck and Lizzie's is not. So Lizzie is going to get out of the car. She's going to ask about getting her phone. Jessie's going to tell her she can go grab it. But the truck seems so far away from where she's standing right now, and she walks very tentatively. She looks in the truck, but it's locked. And we're hearing a grunting sound. There's something watching her. She asks about the keys. Jessie's going to be out soon enough. Lizzie's looking at the wolf's blood stains on the road. We hear more growling in the woods. Lizzie walks towards it. She walks into the woods. She's got, we've got a street lamp that's lighting her. And the wolf is here. Lizzie shouts to Kathy, who doesn't hear her because she's in the car playing with the lighter. Lizzie found the wolf, though, and she's kind of mesmerized by this. She says to the wolf, sorry, we hit you. And then you can see behind Lizzie, further behind her, over her shoulder, you can see a black monster watching her with this just shiny black face and these long teeth. And then we look back at the wolf, and then we look back at Lizzie, and the monster is gone. We can get another flashback here. We're going to hear a door close. Lizzie comes out from under her bed. which I guess is where she would hide when she wanted comfort when her mom was gone. Lizzie goes into the living room and finds Kathy asleep on the sofa. She's going to go to the kitchen, grab a knife, kneel down next to her mom, put it up against her mom's throat, and whisper, "I hate you. Go away." She's got so much anger towards her mom. She's not going to do anything to her mom, but she has so much anger and she doesn't know what to do with it or where to put it. In real time, thunder's crashing. We're going to look out from the trees to the car, just like this monster is probably doing. Jesse's still at work. Lizzie gets back in with Kathy. Kathy says, "I should have got you a jacket. You're so wet." She starts drying off Lizzie. Lizzie says, "Did you hear me out there? I was calling for you. I found the wolf." Kathy says, "Where?" She points to the woods. Kathy's looking in that direction. She says, "Something ate it." And that something is watching the car from the woods, very much so. It's growling. Jesse stops. He hears it now. He shines a light in that direction. We're going to get an animal noise. We're going to get a roar. Jesse's in trouble. In the car, Lizzie's trying to work this out in her head. She says, "What would do that?" Kathy's like, "Are you scared? Like, it's not going to come after people, I promise. Where is that ambulance?" She's calling for Jesse. Like, "Let's go, Jesse. Come on, let's get it moving." They hear no response. So now Lizzie's calling to him. Kathy tells her to hold up a minute. Lizzie says, "Where is he?" Kathy's like, "Well, he's down there." Lizzie says, "But why won't he answer?" From the woods, we see Jesse's toolbox. We see a flashlight. We don't see Jesse. Kathy honks her horn and they don't hear him. Lizzie's saying, "Mama." She's getting nervous. Kathy wants to go out. Lizzie says, "No, let's wait here." Kathy says, "I'm going to find him because I don't just sit here passively and do nothing about a situation." So Kathy's going to get out of the car. She's going to find the flashlight that Jesse left behind. And we're going to see her sort of standing up again, being lit by the headlights. She looks around. She shouts for Jesse. We get a wider shot of her being lit by the headlights, and she's almost blending in with the trees, but we can see her face. It's kind of a cool shot. We're going to get a snapping sound and a growl, and Kathy shouts to the trees. She's like, "Are you there?" Well, something's there. Something's watching her. And there's a distant roar. And then from the car, we see that an arm is thrown onto the hood. And Lizzie's going to scream. Kathy comes back. So now Kathy's inside the car, holding Lizzie, trying to comfort her, trying to calm her down. The ambulance is coming. But Lizzie is sitting there saying, "I want my daddy." Okay. Kathy's saying, "I'm right here." Lizzie says, "I don't care." She's crying. She's like, "Well, I want my daddy, not you." Lizzie says, I told you not to get out of the car. You never listen. Core problem we've been having." Kathy says, "Nothing happened." Lizzie says, "He could have killed you." Kathy's like, "I'm okay. I'm right here." And they're both crying. And it's this really interesting fight because, where Lizzie said something that could be really hurtful to Kathy, like, "I don't want you, I want my dad." But underneath that, she actually is happy that Kathy is alive. And Kathy knows that. And so they get to the root of that, even in this argument. And there's just so much panic. I mean, I think Lizzie would be happy to be anywhere else with any other person because it would mean that she wouldn't be in this situation anymore. Kathy can't start the car at all right now. And we are going to see slowly one hand sort of scraping across the ground. Somebody's sort of like army crawling across the ground. It's Jesse crawling with one arm. Lizzie sees this. She's like, "Mama." They watch as Jesse crawls all the way to the truck and tries to get into the truck. Kathy doesn't know what to do. I mean, one thing you can say about Kathy, for better or for worse, she's not pretending to be a person who knows how to fix everything. She is going to have some skills and some good ideas, but she is also not infallible. Like, she's not superhuman. She's human. She doesn't know what to do in this situation. Kathy would like to get to Jesse. Lizzie's like, please don't. Jesse's banging on his door because it was locked. And then we hear his keys drop. So he must have had them on him somewhere. They drop to the ground. Lizzie says, I see it, the monster. Now we can see the monster. We see the monster in pretty far in front of their car, but being lit by the headlights, watching Jesse. Jesse opens his truck door. He falls back. Kathy lays on the horn, and the two ladies are shouting for him to turn around because this monster is behind him. So they're crying and they're screaming, and he's gonna get attacked by this monster. While he's being attacked, we can see his face is super mangled. He's pulled under the truck and he is consumed. And he's screaming, and we're getting this really tonal, I don't know, music. It's just this really unsettling sounds. Kathy hides Lizzie's eyes again, like she tried to do with, preventing Lizzie from looking at the blood on the car. And then there's just no more noise. There's just rain. And then we go inside the car. Lizzie's crying and Kathy's comforting her again. But the truck door is open now. So we've accomplished at least that. It came at a high price of Jesse's life. But the truck door is open and there is a potential for them to go in and get a phone. So we're getting another flashback now. We've got Roy and Kathy. Lizzie felt like Roy was an ass. Turns out, might not have been wrong. This feels like the earliest flashback. Roy and Kathy are fighting about where the beer is. They're fighting a lot. They're fighting aggressively, at least verbally. They are yelling for Lizzie. Roy's like, Lizzie, where is she? Where are you? And then he finds her and he's very forceful. Where are they? The beers. Like, speak up. And then we hear her toy singing, if you're happy and you know it. And it's just so loud. And then her mom comes down. Roy's like, she's got him. Kathy says, I know. And she's like, then get them. Kathy says, look at me. Roy says, look at your mother. Kathy says, give me them. Roy is going to find the keys. He's going to grab the keys. And it might have just been the keys that he wanted to begin with to get more beer. And so Lizzie's saying, Mom, don't. And she slaps her, like full on physical violence for her kid. Lizzie's crying. Her mom gets up and goes, Ring Around the Rosie is playing. I can't believe she still has this toy. And little Lizzie's like, Mom. And it feels like that's an earlier memory than some of the other ones that we've seen, because they feel like the Lizzie we've seen in some of the earlier flashbacks was a more hardened Lizzie who was just angry at her mom. This feels like a Lizzie that was surprised to see the depths to which her mom could go. So we're going to go back into the car. We've got growling. Kathy is shushing Lizzie. They're both crying. Lizzie says, what was that? He says, I don't know. Lizzie says, was it a monster? Like, monsters aren't real. That's what you said. Kathy says, well, I was wrong. Lizzie's crying. Kathy nurtures her. Lizzie says, I don't want to die. Kathy's heart just breaks in half. And she looks into Lizzie's eyes like, I must protect this girl. Kathy says, all right, the door to his truck is open. I'm just gonna look. Lizzie says, no. Kathy's like, it doesn't know we're here. Lizzie says, you don't know that. Kathy says, if we can get his keys, we can get out. He might have dropped them. Lizzie says, I don't want you to. Kathy says, I could just peek. You stay here with Doggy, just be really quiet. Lizzie's sort of whimpering very quietly. Kathy's going to look over the dashboard to scope out the situation. The rain is dripping. Beautiful shot of the truck door open, the lights hitting it, and the rain just dripping down off the truck door. There's an arm still on their hood. We're going to hear, just as they're trying to be quiet, the If You're Happy and You Know It song comes on. Kathy's like, shut it up. And Lizzie's like, I'm sorry. And she's muffling it. Kathy looks around. Oh no, that might have attracted the monster. She says, stay quiet, stay there. It's okay. And then the monster reaches into the car through the window and grabs her. So it's not that okay, actually. And then it's going to get on top of her and fight her. And this very well could be the end for Kathy. Lizzie is screaming inside the car. Fortunately, at this exact moment, the ambulance pulls up with its siren and its lights, and the monster, it scares the monster away for 5 minutes. Lizzie is like shaking her mom. She's like, hold on, hold on. And then the EMTs come up. They bring her into the ambulance. So now both Lizzie and her mom are in the ambulance. One of the EMTs is with her, checking out her wounds. She's got this huge scratch, like claw scratch on her side. And Kathy's screaming, get us out of here. Attend to me later. Get us out of here. But that's not going to happen because one of the EMTs, the ambulance driver, is out inspecting the situation, which is really the worst idea she could have. We're going to get one of them asking for backup as well. Kathy apologizes to Lizzie. Okay, I like it. She didn't even get to execute the idea. She just thought the idea and was punished for it. So they start to try to sedate her. Lizzie's staying very attentive in this situation, and both of the EMTs get out to inspect, and we hear growling in the distance. So this isn't going to end well for at least one of them. Kathy sits up. She's like, Lizzie, go close the door, which Lizzie does. Kathy takes out the IV that's giving her the meds so that she will be alert. And the monster, so the woman EMT gets in, is like, tell me again what happened, or tell me for the first time. Meanwhile, the man EMT is thrown onto the windshield. That's the end of him. The monster knocks out the windshield. He gets on top of the car. Kathy reaches for the EMT's hand, and she's grabbed out of the front and killed. Okay, so now they have an ambulance that seems to be functional, but they've lost another 2 people. Lizzie is shrieking. Kathy beats the monster with the flashlight. And then somewhere along the way, she shines it in its face without knowing that was the thing that would scare it, and it backs off. This is something that they both notice. They register, okay, so it shrinks away from the light. Kathy's going to drive the ambulance away, and they're going to breathe in relief. And this could have been the end of the movie, except no, the monster doesn't want them driving away. So it's going to attack the back of the ambulance, and it's going to make Kathy lose control of the ambulance, and the ambulance flips over. And then the screen goes black for a moment. And when they come to, there's no more rain. The ambulance is on its side. The headlights are on. It's closer to the tree line now. And Lizzie is going to move. She goes to Kathy, who's knocked out. But she gets Kathy to wake up, and Kathy's waking up and saying, help, help. Lizzie's like, it's me, it's okay. So she's now in the position of taking care of her mom. They really have been alternating that role through this film. Lizzie's crying. Kathy says, we have to get back. You get back. You get away. Kathy is in so much pain right now, but she starts checking out Lizzie for her injuries. She's like, is this my blood or your blood? What's on your head? Kathy is going to go to the front of the ambulance to use the radio, but all she gets is static. The monster is watching them from the woods and jumps onto the ambulance and stands in front of them and screams. Kathy points the flashlight on it, and it runs. So now we're going to get a shot of the trees and the monster growling in the leaves, and then Kathy in the light of the headlights spitting up blood. She's flashing back now to all the moments we've seen with Lizzie. She's remembering it all. She's thinking about this kid and how to save this kid. Kathy goes back to the ambulance with an idea. She says, we need to make a fire to get you to the road so you can get away. She gives Lizzie a hammer. She starts looking around for supplies. She finds alcohol. She has her lighter. Lizzie says, we can't go out there. Kathy says, they won't know that we're here. You have to get help. So this is the plan. Kathy says, I'm going to need you to be brave, braver than you've ever been. I'll use a fire to distract it. She's going to be the bait. She says, it'll follow her. so Lizzie can get away. Lizzie says, it'll get to you. Kathy says, no, it'll be afraid. Monsters don't like the light. That's what night lights are for. Lizzie says, don't lie to me. You're lying. Kathy says, yes, I am. And she's crying because she's prepared to sacrifice herself. Kathy is standing now with the torch fully lit, assembled and lit. She's walking into the woods with it lit. She's getting as far away from the ambulance as she can while still being able to call back to Lizzie. We are alternating between shots of Kathy starting to do the plan and Kathy in the ambulance discussing the plan with Lizzie. So as Kathy's walking out, we then hear Kathy saying to Lizzie in the ambulance, I'm going to die real soon, whether I go out there or not. We see Lizzie crying. She says, you can't die. Kathy says, no, you can't die. You are the reason I am here. When I call for you, you need to run. Lizzie says, we can go together. Kathy says, don't look back, just go. Lizzie says, I'll get help to come back to save you. Kathy says, yep, that's our plan. There's so much love between them. So we're alternating between that and shots of Kathy walking into the woods with the torch. It's so beautiful. Kathy is now in the woods. Lizzie's shouting, come back, I don't want to go. Kathy says, you do what I said. Lizzie says, I won't leave you. Kathy says, you do what I say. Lizzie is crying. Kathy's going to shout for the monster. I am here. The monster growls, and she's going to put down her torch so that the light won't scare it and that it'll be attracted to her. She shouts, Lizzie, run. Kathy waits, afraid, for some seconds while we're waiting on her behalf, and the monster jumps her from behind. And it attacks her, and it gets on top of her, and it bites her throat more than once. And she's screaming. And then Lizzie, who did not follow the plan, beats the monster with the flashlight. She shines the light on it and scares it away. And she cries for her mom. She's like, Mom, please get up. Kathy says, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Lizzie's saying, please, please, please. And I love that we're echoing. It's a slightly changed echo of what we saw in the first flashback, where they were saying horrible things on repeat to each other, and here we've got one of them saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And then Lizzie's repeating, please, please don't go, please don't go. And it's just so heartbreaking, those two. Lizzie hears growling. She's going to kiss her mom. She's going to grab the lighter. She says, I love you. And then she crawls away because her mom's dying. Her mom is dead. She shines the light when she hears a noise. She gets to the ambulance. She's crying in the ambulance. She's trying to figure out what to do. She gets an idea. She opens the lighter. She's turning it on. She's thinking. She finds an aerosol spray can in the ambulance. She's going to rig a trap. She's got her toy that sings those annoying songs, and she's got an aerosol can, and she's got a lighter. So she's going to use the toy to attract the monster, and then she's going to use the other two things to light the monster on fire. She's got a place she can hide in the ambulance. She throws the toy after it starts singing, hides in her little hiding spot. The monster is going to come in. It's going to come closer to where she is. It's going to step inside the ambulance. It's going to find the toy. It's going to try to rip the toy to shreds. Lizzie is going to use that opportunity to get around to the front of the ambulance. And then she attracts the monster and she faces off against the monster. And she's asking the monster to come closer to her. And when it gets close enough, she turns on the lighter and she sprays, and she makes sure she covers this monster with flames, which I feel like, I don't know if you did this, if it would be as effective as it is here, but that's what she's doing. And she lights the whole thing on fire, and it's going to crawl into the woods to die. And as it seems to be dead, she crouches down to it. She sees its huge teeth, and then it shrieks and sort of lunges at her one more time. and she beats it. I was just thinking, you may, if you had a chance to see day number 5 of EEKtober, that was when I covered Scream with America Lopez from Big Brother 25. Don't miss that one. We had a really fun conversation, but we in that movie, they are so meta, and they reference the fact that, the villain always comes out for one last scare, even after you think it was dead. And this monster does that. So it made me think of that as well. Lizzie, we're going to see one more flashback of Lizzie asleep at home, probably under her bed where she would hide. And Kathy looks under her bed and touches her hand. And this is probably right after that altercation that she had with Roy. And Lizzie's going to wake up, and Kathy says, "Hey, little girl." Lizzie says, "I'm not little." Kathy says, "I know, don't be mad." Lizzie says, "You said." Kathy cries. Kathy says, "Don't hate me." Lizzie says, "I don't hate you." They both cry. Kathy says, "Well, I don't hate you." Kathy says, "You are going to be so much better than me. You just wait and see. It's going to be amazing. You're going to get past me. You're going to be able to do whatever you want." Lizzie says, "I just want you." Kathy holds her hand. So, like, again, when you think of this as the elevated horror, this is what was happening when Kathy sent herself out to be the bait for the monster. It's like, you're going to get past me in my actual death, and you're going to go on and do great things in your life. But it's also in the flashback, she was saying that because she meant, like, I'm making your life hell with my dependence on alcohol and everything that's happening to you because of it. And, like, you will get past me. That is your destiny. It is your destiny to get out of this situation and to live a better life than I can give you. So we're seeing it in both ways right now. And the next day, we're going to be in the woods. We're going to see daylight through the woods, through the trees. We see Lizzie walking. She says, my mom tells me there's no such thing as monsters, but she is wrong. We're seeing Lizzie walk alone. They are out there waiting for you, watching. They're in the dark, sometimes where you see them, sometimes where you don't. I know that now. Lizzie goes out into a clearing. She says, "I'm not afraid anymore." And it's this feeling of hope at the end of the film. It's this bittersweet feeling, though, because there was a great loss, and it feels a loss that the movie and her mom was telling us needed to happen. And even Lizzie at the start of the film, she was trying to get away in a way that was like, and her mom was driving her to do it. I mean, I think they were both in acceptance that this was the destiny she was meant to have. And did it have to come like this? Did it have to be so fatal for her mother? But I mean, it's just so beautiful. Like, I feel emotional even as I'm just reading what's happening here. The other thing that I want to point out is the monster. I can't imagine this film had a ton of budget. And the monster, it's a good thing they were shooting at night, because I think it looks a little like a human in a monster suit, but they put more effort into the face of the monster, because that's mostly what you see, but it moves in a sort of human way. It feels like a practical thing, what they did. So, but because this is shot at night and they're playing mostly with lighting tricks, I think it's enough, especially on a first watch, because every frame tends to be kind of complicated with what's lit, what's not lit, what's dark, what's being rained on. And so there's a lot to sort of take in, especially on a first watch. And but if you look at the monster really closely, it's like, oh, okay, this is possibly a lower budget film. But I think they did like all the things they could do to make this as artistic as possible. And just this beautiful mother-daughter story. And I have to say, Zoe Kazan and Ella Valentine just were so compelling in this film. I believed the complexity of their bond. I don't know how they had this many buckets of tears to cry when they shot this film. I also, if you watched The Strangers, you would have seen Scott Speedman. I've seen a fair amount of Scott Speedman's work, and I don't know if I've ever seen him shout He usually whispers a lot and stuff, and he was so angry and shouting in this film for this time that we saw him. So what a beautiful one. Look, that's what I thought about the monster. What did you think about the monster? I'd love to get your feedback. I don't think I've ever talked with anybody about this film before, and now I'm talking with you. So let me know what you think in the comments. Also, while you're there, my scary meter is totally busted. I've watched so many horror movies that I have no idea what's actually scary or not anymore. I'm desensitized to them, but I would love to know how scary they are to other people to help make future recommendations to other humans. So I would love for you to take out your scary meter and rate this movie from 1 to 10 in terms of how scary you think it is. 1 being not scary, 10 being the most scary, and anywhere in between. Let me know in the comments, and we'll see over time. We'll see where it lands. Now, next time, it's going to be day 15, and we're going to watch Stitches. It's a 2012 film. It's a creepy clown film. It's a slasher comedy film. It's a little, he's a little dirty, that clown. So get ready for that. I think that's technically our first clown film. Granted, in Poltergeist, we had a clown that was featured, but not like a human talking clown like this film is going to be. So get ready for that one. I hope you'll join me again. In the meantime, happy EEKtober, everybody. Get spooky, get donuts.